Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be considering the following topic: body plans in animals, Diploblastic, Triploblastic, Coelomate, and Acoelomate. What do all these words mean? Well, let's get right into it. Let's first start off by answering the question of what is a germ layer? We're going to be looking at various germ layers in this video. So let's first figure out what is a germ layer. Well, a germ layer is a raw material. As the embryo grows, that raw material develops into body parts. So when you hear the word germ layer, think about a germ layer as raw material that is eventually going to grow and develop into certain body parts. So we're going to be looking at 3 germ layers today, or I should say in this video. What are the germ layers we're going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at the endoderm layer, the endoderm layer. We're going to be looking at the mesoderm layer and the ectoderm layer. These are all germ layers. They are going to develop into certain body parts. So the endoderm layer, right here, the endoderm layer becomes the digestive system, the liver, the pancreas, lungs. We're talking about the inner layers. The mesoderm layer becomes the circulatory system, lungs, epithelial layers, skeletal system, and muscular system. And the ectoderm layer becomes the hair, nails, skin, and nervous system. So when we're talking about these layers, each of them are going to develop into something. All right. So again, we have the endoderm layer right here, and the endoderm layer, the cells in the endoderm layer are going to be part of the endocrine glands, the lungs, the digestive tract, and the liver. Then we have the mesoderm layer, which is also a germ layer, and it's going to eventually develop into muscles, skeletons, kidneys, reproductive system. And then we have the ectoderm layer, and its cells are going to develop into the nervous system and the skin. So when you think about these germ layers, the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm, think about these germ layers as raw materials that are going to eventually develop into different parts of the body. Okay, so let's officially define ectoderm. So the ectoderm is the outer embryonic germ layer whose cells develop into the outer body covering, the epidermis, and simple nervous tissue, helping with protection and response to stimuli. So when you think about the ectoderm, think about it as a germ layer that is going to develop into the skin, that's going to develop into nervous tissue, that is going to help with protection and response to stimuli. Then we have the endoderm layer. So the endoderm layer is the inner embryonic germ layer whose cells develop into the lining of the digestive tract and organs and glands associated with digestion and respiration. So when you think endoderm, think endoderm as a layer whose cells are going to develop into things that helps with digestion, absorption, and respiration. Then we have the mesoderm layer. This is the middle one. So the mesoderm layer is the middle embryonic germ layer whose cells develop into muscles, connective tissues, organs, and body systems such as the circulatory and excretory systems. So ectoderm, that's the outer layer. Endoderm is the inner one, and mesoderm is the one that is in the middle. And the mesoderm layer, its cells are going to be helping with the kidneys and the ureters, the reproductive system, bone and cartilage, muscles, spleen, and stuff like that. So when you think about mesoderm, think about the middle layer that's going to develop into whose cells are going to develop into muscles, connective tissues, and things like that. Okay, so let's look at, so now we understand these 3 layers. Now it's time for us to talk about the diploblastic body plan. Now diploblastic animals are animals with 2 embryonic germ layers. So these diploblastic animals only have 2 germ layers, ectoderm and endoderm. So which layer or which germ layer are they missing? Well, they're missing the middle one. That is going to be the mesoderm. So there's no mesoderm present between these layers. Such animals have simple organization and are usually radially symmetrical. Examples would include the hydra, jellyfish, etc. Okay, so let's look at the significance of this type of body plan. So what advantages does this diploblastic body plan helps with? Well, it limits specialization and simplicity. So we're talking about simple body organisms. So simple body structures are adapted for diffusion and passive transport. It allows for basic tissue formation, and is suitable for simple body functions. This type of body plan is adequate for animals with low metabolic and structural demands. So obviously the diploblastic animals are going to be simpler or less complex as compared to triploblastic, which is going to be more complex, right? So diploblastic, we're talking about simple body structures. We're limiting our specialization and complexity. We're talking about basic tissue formation. So think about diploblastic as the basic version and the triploblastic as the more advanced version. All right. So let's talk about the triploblastic body plan. This is the advanced version. These ones have 3 germ layers, but diploblastic only has 2 germ layers. So triploblastic animals are animals with 3 embryonic germ layers: the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. So it has the middle one, right? Most triploblastic animals are bilaterally symmetrical, though some groups like the adult echinoderms show secondary radial symmetry. So most of them are going to have bilateral symmetry. That means that you could cut them in the middle and you're going to have the left and right halves, right? So examples would be earthworm, insects, and humans. Triploblastic, more complex, have all 3 germ layers. So what is the significance of the triploblastic body plan? Well, triploblastic animals develop 3 germ layers, which allow cephalization, that's head formation, and directional movement. And you can see this in humans where you have the head formation, the eyes, the ears, right? You have the sensory organs in the head, right? And directional movement. It enables organ and organ system development. So again, it has a greater complexity and sophistication as compared to the diploblastic. Allows for greater body complexity and specialization, supports active movement and advanced functions. So diploblastic only has 2 germ layers, and it's for more simple body organisms. And the triploblastic body plan, this is going to be more advanced, more specialized, right? And it has 3 germ layers. Okay, so let's look at this diagram. This is going to make it clear for you. So in this diagram, we have the diploblast or the diploblastic body plan. We have the triploblastic body plan. So both of them are going to have the endoderm, right? Both of them are going to have the endoderm. Remember, the endoderm is the inner germ layer. So both the diploblastic and the triploblastic body plans have the endoderm. Both of them have the ectoderm. So the ectoderm is the outer germ layer, right? Both of them have the ectoderm, right? But only the triploblastic body plan has the mesoderm. That's the middle one, right? So this one has a non-living layer, and we call that the mesoglia, right? The mesoglia. So for diploblastic, they don't have the mesoderm, but they have mesoglia, right? It's a non-living layer. So both of them have the outer layer, both of them have the ectoderm, both of them have the endoderm, but only the triploblastic is going to have the mesoderm, all right? Now, let's talk about acoelomate body plan and coelomate body plan. So what do you mean by acoelomate body plan? Well, acoelomate animals lack a body cavity called the coelom. So acoelomate, it is not going to have the coelom, right? The space between the gut and the body wall is filled with solid mesodermal tissue. This limits organ movement but allows simple body organization, efficient for diffusion-based transport. Acoelomates are triploblastic. So coelomates and acoelomates are going to be triploblastic. Examples are going to be flatworms. And let's talk about coelomate body plan. So acoelomate does not contain a coelom, but coelomate body plans or coelomate animals do possess a true coelom, which is a fluid-filled body cavity completely lined with mesoderm. And the coelom is very important. We're going to talk about why the coelom is important. The coelom allows organs to be suspended and move independently, improving efficiency. So it allows organs to be suspended, right? And it improves efficiency. Examples would be earthworms, arthropods, and vertebrates. So acoelomate does not have a coelom. Coelomate, they do have a coelom. All right. Now let's look at these two diagrams, and can you tell me which one is acoelomate and which one is coelomate? Well, both of these are going to be triploblastic. And we know that both of them are triploblastic because both of them have all three. Both of them have ectoderm, both of them have mesoderm, and both of them have endoderm. So acoelomate and coelomates, they are triploblastic. But if you notice, you see this structure here. This is the coelom, right? This one has the coelom. Does this have a coelom? It does not. So this one is going to be acoelomate, whereas this one is going to be coelomate because this one has the coelom, right? But this one does not have the coelom, right? So coelomate and acoelomate. Acoelomate does not have a coelom. Coelomate does have a true coelom. Okay, so this is also another diagram showing acoelomate versus coelomate. Obviously, the coelomate is going to have the coelom and the acoelomate does not have the coelom. All right, we also have another diagram showing acoelomate versus coelomate. The acoelomate one does not have the coelom, but the coelomate one does have the coelom here, right? But both of them are triploblastic. They have endoderm, ectoderm, and mesoderm. All right, so why is the coelom so significant? And what is the coelom, right? The coelom is going to provide space for internal organs to grow and function efficiently. It acts as a shock absorber, protecting organs. It allows independent movement of organs. It aids in circulation and distribution of nutrients. It enables greater body size and complexity, and it provides structural support in soft-bodied animals like annelids. So these are some of the reasons why the coelom is so important. Now, let's talk about hemicele. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Hemicele. Or I actually wrote the word wrong. Okay. Hemicele, right? So let's talk about hemicele. What do we mean by hemicele? Well, hemicele, the way how I remember it is that the hemicele is actually, this is missing the OL. The hemicele is actually a blood cavity. That's what it is. It's basically a blood cavity, right? That's a simple way of thinking about it. A blood cavity, a cavity that has blood in it, right? So the hemicele is the primary body cavity filled with what? Blood or hemolymph. Now, what is hemolymph or hemolymph? This is like, think about it as animal blood, right? Hemolymph, right? So the hemicele is a body cavity that is filled with blood or hemolymph in animals with an open circulatory system. Examples are going to be arthropods and mollusks. So the hemicele is basically a cavity, right? But this cavity is filled with blood or hemolymph, which is animal blood, in animals with an open circulatory system. Now, human beings have a closed circulatory system, but certain animals have an open circulatory system. Now, what is the difference? Well, an open circulatory system, the blood or hemolymph does not stay in the blood vessels. So, if it doesn't stay in the blood vessels, where did it go? Well, the hemolymph flows, or animal blood, flows in body spaces called the hemocele. So, that's where it's going to be. It's going to be in the blood cavity and directly bathes body organs and cells in the hemocele or the blood cavity. So, when you talk about the open circulatory system, the blood is not going to stay in the blood vessels. The blood is going to flow into the cavity, into the hemocele, and it's going to directly bathe the organ and cells in the hemocele. But not so for closed circulatory system. Blood is always contained in blood vessels, and blood flows through arteries, veins, and capillaries, right? And so that's the difference. So open circulatory system, they're going to have the hemocele. That's going to be the blood cavity where the blood is going to go and it's going to directly bathe the organs and the cells. So this one here is showing an animal with an insect with an open circulatory system. As you can see, the blood leaves the blood vessels and directly bathes the body cells. Same thing here, the blood leaves the blood vessels and directly bathes the body cells and organs. Not so for closed circulatory system. For closed circulatory system, the blood stays within the blood vessels. It doesn't come out into the cell. So how? But still, you still have the transfer of You still have the transfer of nutrients, you still have the transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide, but the blood itself is not going to come out of the blood vessel and go into the cell, right? So, hemocell formation, and we pronounce it wrong, it's spelled wrong again, it's supposed to be OL. So how is the hemocell formed, right? So during embryonic development, coelom is partially or completely replaced by spaces formed within the mesoderm. These spaces expand and merge to form the hemocell, which is the blood cavity. The blood or hemolymph, with the hemolymph is blood in animals, circulates freely within this cavity, bathing the organs directly. Because why? Because we're talking about an open circulatory system. All right? What else do we need to know about hemocell? What's the significance? The significance of hemocell. It acts as a substitute for coelom in transporting nutrients, gases, and weights. It provides structural support and serves as hydrostatic skeleton in some arthropods. And examples of hemocell is going to be insects, crustaceans, mollusks such as snails and clams. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you have a better understanding of what we mean when we talk about diploblastic, triploblastic, coelomate, acoelomate, coelom, and hemocell. So hopefully you have a better understanding of these things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. See you soon.